Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation, Becquerel, Life Accomplishments, etc. Today we're going to focus on the etc. Now, just like me, this presentation isn't going to be very normal, and so I'd just like you to sit back, have an open mind, we'll have a little bit of fun, and of course, most of all, we've just all got to keep our composure. A Becquerel, also can be pronounced Becquerel, is the SI-derived unit used to measure the rate of radioactive decay. When the nucleus of an atom emits nucleons, protons, and/or neutrons, and is thereby transformed into a different nucleus, decay has occurred. A decay rate of 1 becquerel for a given quantity means there is one such atomic transformation per second. So a becquerel is a measurement of time of the rate of decay. How many times per second an atom emits a particle is its Becquerel number. This is named after Henri Becquerel, who, ta-da, my presentation is actually on. While doing a little research, I wanted to find something interesting about him to talk about, and the very first thing that jumped out at me was he had an awesome beard. Why was he an awesome scientist? It must be the beard. Is there some kind of beard Illuminati? What other scientists had awesome beards? Well, as a guy with his own awesome beard once said, it's worth a Google, and I did. Here's what I found were the great beards of science. Charles Darwin with his evolutionary beard. Galileo Galilei with his astronomically awesome beard. Leonardo da Vinci with his Mona Lisa must like a manly man beard. Ivan Pavlov with his I'll fist fight a drooling dog anywhere, anytime beard. And Wilhelm Röntgen with his hey, this thing is glowing X-ray beard. Who else has some awesome beards? Well, the guys from ZZ Top have been rocking theirs for quite a while now. Charlton Heston had a pretty awesome one in that Jesus movie. And I think I'm a little partial to mine. As you can see, it has its own fan club. So you're a scientist with an awesome beard. What do you do now? Well, if you're Henri Becquerel, you study phosphorescence. Phosphorescence is the property of being luminous at temperatures below incandescence, as from slow oxidation in the case of phosphorus, or after exposure to light or other radiation. So in other words, you study rocks that glow. Henri Becquerel's father, Alexander Edmund Becquerel, was also a scientist that studied minerals and rocks, and he had a large collection that he handed down to his son. Now, if you can imagine, in the 1800s, there wasn't a lot of transportation to get you around the world quickly. You couldn't FedEx samples places. So having a collection of minerals was actually pretty important for the experimentation process. I think it would have been interesting if he would have studied rocks that glow from Superman's Fortress of Solitude or Dwayne Johnson. But instead he chose uranium salts in crystallized form because they're the ones that he found caused the actual exposure to the plates. Well, what plates am I talking about? The science experiment consisted of sunshine, photographic plates, black paper, and the uranium. How he would prepare the experiment is he would take the photographic plates and wrap them in the black paper, protecting them from exposure from the sun. Then he would set the uranium ore on top of that and place the entire thing in the sun, expecting that the sunlight would stimulate the uranium to emit the X-rays through the paper and thus expose the photographic plate. What could ruin an experiment based on sunshine? You guessed it, clouds. The weather was terrible. So we took the entire experiment and placed it inside a light-proof box, expecting that without the sunshine hitting the uranium salts, that it wouldn't create the X-rays and would not expose the plate, and he could just wait for the weather to get better. After a couple of days, it was still cloudy, and he decided that he needed to reset the experiment, make sure that the plate hadn't been exposed from any other outside sources. After developing the plate, what he found that came out of this box was more surprising than the time Kevin Spacey sent Gwyneth Paltrow's head to Brad Pitt, or that time that Justin Timberlake was on Saturday Night Live. Here's what was inside the box. This is the actual X-ray that was developed by Becquerel. And as you can see, even though no light stimulated the uranium ore, it still exposed the photographic plates. This caused Becquerel to change his hypothesis, and on February 24, 1896, he stated the same crystalline crust of potassium uranyl sulfate, arranged the same way with respect to the photographic plates, in the same conditions and through the same screens, but sheltered from the excitation of incident rays and kept in darkness, still produced the same photographic images. We discovered that uranium had radioactivity, which is the spontaneous emission of radiation either directly from unstable atomic nuclei or as a consequence of a nuclear reaction. And in uranium's case, it's from an unstable atomic nuclei. This was a pretty big discovery, and in 1903, Becquerel was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics. The award stated, in recognition of the extraordinary services he has rendered by his discovery of spontaneous radioactivity. Now, this award was a little bit unusual because he actually split the award with a married couple you may have heard of, Marie Curie and Pierre Curie, in recognition of the extraordinary services they have rendered by their joint researches on the radiation phenomena discovered by Professor Henri Becquerel. Now, if you look at the award, you notice that 3 of the 4 people on here do have something in common. That's right, awesome beards. I'll let your imagination decide exactly how hairy or not Marie Curie was. Becquerel was also awarded the Rumford Medal in 1900, the Helmholtz Medal in 1901, and the Barnard Medal in 1905. Becquerel died on August 25, 1908, just 5 years after being awarded the Nobel Prize. However, Becquerel's son Jean carried on the tradition and became the 4th generation of Becquerel to study physics, studying magnetic rotation and poles, which led to inventions such as magnetic resonance imaging. But why was his son not as famous as his father? It's simple. No beard. So it's obvious, if you want to be a famous scientist that college students have to do research papers on, you just need to grow an awesome beard. And maybe study some rocks. That, just like this presentation, is history. There's about 7 minutes of your life that you will never get back.